Howdy and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3 Combined Game Playthrough. This is going to be the July-August 1941 turn. The weather for this turn is looking kind of nice, so I'm sure we're going to get some action, probably in the east, maybe. Last turn the weather was really not that good, at least in the Arctic zone. There was a few attacks in Asia. One of those attacks, I made a mistake on the odds chart, and later, after I realized it, I reversed it. So the communists actually kept their hex that the Japanese, I had thought the Japanese had taken, so I fixed that. That was an easy fix. In a multiplayer game, that would have got noticed right away. It's just sometimes you don't notice everything. So, some mistakes I just won't correct. I'll just leave them, because if I feel that that's something that even in a multiplayer game people wouldn't have noticed, or they just would have not realized it, then I just leave it. But something like that, especially if I was playing the Chinese, I would have been all over that. So I fixed that one. There was some serious U-boat action going on in the Atlantic last turn, and we had a big fleet engagement in the Bay of Biscay. Both those resulted in the Commonwealth getting hosed a little bit, but even though that particular turn seemed really bad, overall, the battle for the Atlantic's been kind of muted right now. I mean, the Commonwealth still has reserves of convoy points, so we're just going to keep going along, I guess, see what happens. Okay, so let's go and take a look at starting money. Starting money is getting lower, kind of low this turn, I think. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here. I'm running out of spaces to do stuff. All right, starting money. Starting money, we got Germany at 3, we got Japan at 0, Italy at -2, the Soviets at 1, the Commonwealth at -3, the US at -2, China at 0, and the Free French are at -7. So I've took a look at what the major powers might want to do for bids for this turn, and come up with 3. We got the US bidding 1, Free French bidding 1, and Germany bidding 1. However, the Germans are bidding, looking to get 2 political options for this turn. So I'll head over to the initiative position track and see how this is going to turn out. So the US is bidding 1. They're getting a +3 for their second place position. The Free French are bidding 1. They're also getting a +3. So that's going to be a tie at 4. However, the US and the French are actually tied for 2 for political effectiveness. So the tie is broken by current order. In this case, the US is first, and the Free French will be second. The Germans bid 1. They got a +4, so that's 5. However, they're trying to get 2 political options. So that's divided in half to 2.5, and that's going to put them in at third. First last card on the US, last card on the Germans. Now for the non-bidders, we have the Commonwealth and Japan at 2. The Commonwealth's political effectiveness is a 6, Japan's is a 4, so the Commonwealth breaks that tie. The Italians and the Soviets are tied at 1. The Soviet political effectiveness is a 4. The Italian is a 3. So the Soviets will break that tie, the Italians will be 7th, and the Chinese will be last. Alright, the US is first up. Let's go see what they want to do. The US is going to try to sign a level 2 treaty with the Free French. Nothing happens right now until we get to the Free French political option turn, or the Free French turn. And so we're just going to wait until that happens, and since the Free French are next, and the US is not going to end the political phase because there's a +1 to the die, we'll go right to the Free French, and they're going to play their 0F, agree to a proposal. So the treaty is signed. I'm going to put out the various political influence markers, as well as record the US entry of a +4. And when I come back, the U.S. will get to activate a miner. Okay, it's time for us to activate a miner for the U.S. and they're going to activate Portugal. I'm going to grab the markers. We're going to come over here to the status display. And let's see what we got. We got a -1 Japanese and a +3 U.S. Well, the Portuguese marker is right here, so to pull it away, move it away, it's going to take at least two for either of these hexes. So it's not going to do anything. Now the 3 US, you see that the straight line, we do the straight line thing, it's going to be mostly over in this hex. So the US is going to move the Portuguese marker. Okay, it's 2 for the hex, 1 to cross the boundary, -1 for moving towards the US within the Democrat ideology. It's going to end up stacking Portugal with the Commonwealth. And as we know from the beginning of the game, the Commonwealth has a minor alliance with Portugal. So this is actually going to work out good for the can't even think, for the Commonwealth. And so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to roll a die to see if Free France ends the political phase. 9 does not do it. We'll move on down to Germany. And let's go see what they're going to do. Germany owes for a miner joins in. So she's going to pick that for her first political option. Now the cost and all the miner influence has already been put out. That was done at the time. So the only thing Germany has to do is activate a miner. So we're going to come over here. I think Germany would like to activate. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's... Got to think about this. After thinking about it for a few minutes, she was going to do one thing, but there's really kind of no hope for that one at this point. So I think we're going to activate Argentina. So we're going to come over here to the status display. You can see Argentina is right there between the fascist ideology and the communist ideology. So let's get these guys. We got 4 markers in total. We got US 2, a Italian 2, a German 2, and a Japanese 1. Okay, so we're going to start with the American 2. That's just basically going to drag it back this hex. Then we'll activate the German 2. That's going to drag it into either here or here. I think we'll go here. And then we got 2 Italian. Normally it's 2 for the hex, 1 for the boundary is 3. So the 2 Italians not enough, and neither is the 1 Japanese. But that does put Argentina right next to the fascist ideology. The Germans are okay with that. So the last thing Germany's going to do is roll a die to see if she ends the political phase. Now we'll just use this white die and another 9. So we'll move down and we will take a look at what Germany wants to do for a second political option. Germany is going to be declaring war. So she's going to pay the 8 money for this. None of this is actually supposed to, none of these effects are actually supposed to take place until the first impulse that war is actually declared on. And in a face-to-face game, you don't even have to announce who you're declaring war against at the time. There's no rolling for activate a miner in this case, and Germany, this is the last political option for this turn. So I am going to put all this out anyways and record the US entry as a 5. And Germany does indeed, it's going to be against the Soviets, and Germany does indeed meet the prerequisites for breaking their level 1 treaty and non-aggression pact with the Soviets. She has a little more than 3-1 on the border with the Soviets right now. So I'll get all that taken care of, and then we'll come back. We'll take a look at reinforcements, roll initiative, and roll the all-important weather die. Alright, reinforcements for this turn. The Soviets are getting another armored army, fighters and pilots, a couple of small units. Chinese are getting a militia unit in Chongqing finally. The Japanese are getting another infantry army, a convoy, and a tanker point, a pretty good combat air group, a marine division, another HQ, another marine division, and a pilot. The Germans are just getting a ton of stuff. Artillery, motorized, mechanized, armor, 5 infantry corps, 2 U-boats going in the construction pool. The U.S. is getting a couple of combat air groups, and the Hornet is coming on, and they got this a DE unit going in a construction pool, as well as a amphibious. An amphibious unit. The Italians are getting a decent fighter with a pilot, the Imperio, and a militia. And the Commonwealth's getting 6 convoy points, a militia in England, and a cruiser coming back. And that's it for reinforcements. Let's go roll initiative. And weather. Said I wasn't going to roll weather and initiative, but I'm going to do it for this turn anyways. Alright, initiative. White, the fascists. The red are the communists, and the blue are the democracies. There's a -1 for the communists, a 0 for the democracies, and a +2 for the fascists on this roll. Well, the democracies got a 8, the fascists got a 6, and the communists got a 5. So the fascists would like to go before the communists, so they want to go second. Now, well, actually they want to go before the fascists. It's up to democracies. The democracies want to go last, then the fascists are going to end up going first. And the Commonwealth doesn't want that. They want to get their ships out before the U-boats ravage them. So they're going to go first. So the democracies will be first, the fascists second, and the communist third. Now let's go do the almighty important weather roll. Okay, there's no modifier for this die. So we're just going to be a straight up weather roll. And the column we're using is this one right here. And an 8. And 8 is fair weather everywhere except north monsoon has storm. The impulse marker will move up 1. So I'm going to get the reinforcements on the map. And we're going to start off with the first set of impulses. Okay, for the democracy's impulse, we had the Commonwealth take a naval. And she got her fleets out. Some stuff in the higher sea boxes for detection. Both the Force 8s and the Home Fleet are gone into the Bay of Biscay again. Try to bottle up things there. Try to keep the German fleet from raiding anything in the North Atlantic or Central Atlantic. And over here in the Med, the Med fleet came out and brought some ships over from Asia. And the Free French have decided to join the expedition. They had to pay oil for that, but it's the way it is. And for the Americans took a combined, and they put some escorts in the East Coast Sea Box. And that about wraps it up for the Chinese democracies. They are standing pat. They want to make the Japanese bleed as much as possible for every single hex that Japan tries to take. And they're not too worried about the North Monsoon Zone that's in storm right now. So they're kind of good with that. And I'm going to move on to the fascist impulse. It's going to be some movement and probably a lot of stuff going on over there. Maybe even some ground strikes to begin. But I'm going to figure all that out. I imagine the Germans are going to want to get their U-boats out as well. So, oh, and I don't know what the Italians are going to do down here in the Med. I got to think about it, because they got a landing force stranded in Cyprus right now. So I got to think about that, and I'll be back shortly with lots of die rolls. Okay, before I go to movement, I have some ground strikes to do. Alright, first one up is going to be right here. We are 2. We get to roll 2 dice for this. Rolls a 10 and an 8, no good. Off to a good start. And then we get a ground strike here. It's 2 dice at 5s. That one is flipped. And we have 2 dice at 4s right here. And that one is flipped. And Moscow stack is knocked over. We flipped the armor. I kind of wanted to do that. Make sure he ends up a corpse. Alright, now I'm going to do the movement, and we're coming back. There'll be some combat. I looked at Japan. Japan is basically not doing too much this turn, moving stuff around. There is an Italian sortie down here in the Med. And we also have U-boats in the Faroes Gap and in the North Atlantic. So there's probably going to be something happening over there, but I'm going to do all the East Front stuff first. Once that's done, this is out of the sequence of play, but it's easier for me to do it like this. So I'll do all that first, and then when I come back, when that's all done, I'll just go do the Faroes Gap and the North Atlantic, and also down here in the Med, if there's anything going to happen down there as well. Back in a second, after I finish the movement. Okay, I've just finished the initial movement for the fascists, and we have a few attacks. On the Eastern Front. Alright, most of these are going to be on the Blitzkrieg table, I believe. So anything that's 7 to 1 or better is an automatic. Yes, star 2B. So this attack right here is 7 to 1, so that's an automatic. He is dead. The Russians won't get a cadre for that because it is outside of Russia proper. And then I guess the Romanians will occupy, along with the German armored unit, who will blitz. 1 hex. Alright. Over here, we have a... This is on the Blitzkrieg table as well. It's a 9 to 1, so it's an automatic. But unfortunately, the hex costs more than 1 point, so the Germans, that's not cadre either. The Germans will not get to be able to blitz out of this hex, but they're okay with that. Right here, we have another 8 to 1. Again, there's armor involved, so it's an automatic. And I just dropped that counter. And they will get to blitz because this hex does only cost 1. So we'll send the 8-6 streaming forward. Now this hex right here, we have 1 unit of ground support, and it's a 6 to 1 on the Blitzkrieg table with a +1. And the die roll is going to be a 4, which is star, which becomes a 5, which is star 1B. So 1 unit is dead, which I believe will be this one. And the fighter has to go back to land. And they will get to blitz on this hex. Okay, gotta figure out who's got what. Okay, Runestadt is there. So all these will come forward, and Runestadt will go there. Alright, here we have another 7-1, which is an automatic. He is dead. And let's see, we're going to occupy with, don't really think it matters too much. There we go. And the last attack is indeed another 7-1. So that's going to auto kill this. And the Germans will get to blitz on this one. And I think that is it for attacks for this turn. They couldn't manage anything down here in Africa. The Italians took a naval, so all the submarine movement is because the Germans paid a offensive point to get an additional action, a naval action, and it only takes one naval action to move all the subs. Excuse me, I couldn't quite get this done. This should be flipped over from last turn. And so, don't quite have enough for an attack there yet, so there won't be any attack. We do, however, have a potential Italian Commonwealth naval engagement here. So we're going to roll search dice. And I think I'll roll them right up here. And the block C. And so the 4-box, the 3 and the 4-box found something, or found the Italians, and none of the Italians found anything. So that's too bad for them. I gotta go figure this out, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so the Commonwealth has elected to pay 4 surprise points and do a surface action. They have 9 surprise points in total, so that's going to leave them with 5. They definitely didn't want to do an air action because they're definitely outnumbered in the air. They only have 1 carrier, and it's got a piece of crap combat air group on it. So we're going to do a surface action. Now, after I moved everything for surprise points and everything, the Commonwealth is going to inflict 4 sunk results on the Italians, and the Italians are going to inflict 3 sunk, 2 damaged, and 2 aborted on the Commonwealth. So let's get started with that. Now we'll do the Commonwealths on the Italian first. They pick first, and we're going to pick the Littorio. The Littorio is a 2. Where's my dice? So the Italians have to save on a 2, and they do indeed save it. So that is damaged. Put that aside. Now the Italians will pick one. Oh, let's see. We got some junky cruisers here. Yeah, we'll pick this guy. This guy right here for a sunk. Oh, he does go down with a roll of a 1. So he's sunk. Now the Commonwealth can pick another sunk. They're going to pick the Littorio, because if they get another damage on it, it's sunk. So we're going to pick the Littorio. It doesn't really matter what the Italians roll. It's going to go down to the bottom. It's another big modern Italian battleship gone down. And for the last sunk, we'll pick another one of these real great cruisers. And that's an 8. And it's sunk. So the Italians have lost 3 ships. Now it's the Italians' turn. They get to pick. They get to pick 3 sunks. Well, they get to pick 2. The British will pick a 1. they're going to pick the Reclau, the French battleship that's here. It ended up being Free French. It's a 1. So unless the the Free French player rolls a 1, it's going to be damaged. He rolled a 2. It's pretty close, but it's going to be damaged. Now the Commonwealth picks a ship. They're going to pick the Carlisle. That's this guy right here. And it is sunk. It is sunk. And now the Italians will pick the Reclau again. So it doesn't matter what he rolls. He's going to be sunk because 2 damages is a sunk. And now we got 2 damages. The Commonwealth will pick 1 ship to damage. This will actually work out okay, I think. I think we're going to pick... Oh, here's a real... This guy's spiffy. The Dundin for a damage. And he's damaged. Now the Italian player will pick 1. We're going to pick the Warspit for a damage. He's got to roll better than a 3. And he don't. It's damaged. That's 2 ships that are damaged. I'm going to put them right here. Now we got 3 aborts. The Italian player will pick, oh no, the British player will pick the Colombo for an abort. It's not aborted, it's half aborted. The Italian player will pick the Repulse for an abort. That is a 4. And it is half aborted. And the last one to get picked will be, oh no, that's it. 2D, 2 aborted. So the half aborts don't do anything. They actually are just going to end up back unaborted. They'll end up back there. And we're going to roll dice, search dice. Well, let me think here. Does the Commonwealth want to stick around? We did inflict 3 sunk ships on the Italians. And we've only lost 1 ourselves. And that's just a light cruiser. Oh no, we lost the Reclau. That's right. We'll try it. The philosophy of the Commonwealth in the Mediterranean is they can afford to lose some ships and the Italians can't. So we're going to roll search dice. This time it didn't work out in favor of the Commonwealth because we got a 4 and a 6. The Italians are the 4 and the Commonwealth is the 6. I don't know. Okay, I got to figure this out. Okay, after I did all the calculations with the Italian surprise points, we're going to have 3 sunk on the Commonwealth, 2 damaged, and 2 aborted. And on the Italians, we're going to have 1 sunk, 1 damaged, and 3 aborted. So we'll do the Commonwealth on the Italians first. They have 1 sunk. We're going to go after the Giulio, another battleship, an older battleship. We're going to go after the Giulio Caesar. That is a 4. Have to roll better than a 4 to save it, and it don't, it sinks. Now we have a damage. We're going to go after the Imperial. That's a 2. And a 10 does, it's only aborted. So it's going to be aborted. And then we got 3 aborts. The Italians will pick this cruiser. It's a 7. Just roll it. It is aborted. Then Commonwealth will pick the Veneto. It is saved, so it is half aborted. And the last one will be this other cruiser here, the Pola, and it is aborted. So there's two aborted ships, or 3 aborted ships. 2, I think. 2 Italian ships got aborted. And now we're going to do the Italians onto the Commonwealth. We have 3 sunk. And we're going to pick, for the first sunk will be the Warspit. It's already damaged, so that's going to mean it's sunk. So that ship goes down. And then the next sunk, the Commonwealth will pick running out of cruisers. We'll pick this guy, the DoDIII. Alright, that's an 8. And he doesn't save. Need better than an 8. And the last sunk, the Italians are going to pick that's a damage. Italians are going to pick, I guess we'll go for the DoDIII. DoDIII needs better than a 6. He rolled a 6, so he sunk. And then there's 2 aborts. We'll abort the Repulse. Wrong die. Repulse is a 4. He's half aborted, and the Italians will pick him again. It's going to be a half abort, and he is aborted. So I think at this point, I think the British have had enough, or the Commonwealth has had enough. They're had those counters backwards. Got those counters backwards. Alright, now it's right. Had the wrong counters and the wrong hexes. Yeah, they're gonna say that's enough. They're basically down to 5 ships total in their fleet, along with the couple that are here, and plus the French. So yeah, they're gonna go home. So they're gonna abort. So I'm gonna take care of that, and I'll be back in a second. So I want to show you quickly what the results of that engagement down there was. So the Commonwealth basically lost an older battleship and 2 light cruisers and a heavy cruiser, and the Italians lost a modern battleship, an older, we'll call it a battle cruiser, I think that's a heavy cruiser. Nope, 2 light cruisers. So I think the British won that overall. I mean, you're trading a Laterio for the Warspit. That's probably a good trade. So that's going to be that. We got the possible sub action up here in 2 places. And we're going to roll some dice for those. Alright. First sub action, and I have to flip one over. Probably that one. He gets flipped over. If I run out of subs to flip over, then there's no more chance of initiating a naval conflict in that zone. So we'll roll 2 dice. An 8 and a 2. So the subs can ignore this. They don't have to engage that, so there's no engagement there. Though I could engage that. No, because it's a Commonwealth's choice. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. And now over here in the Atlantic, North Atlantic. And again, that's going to be a nothing. Because there's going to be a minus to the... Actually, minus to... How many convoy points here? Let's check this real quick. 2, 3... More than 10. Nope, there's exactly 10. So that's only going to be a -1 to the die, and that doesn't cut it. So that will flip over one of these guys. I don't really think it matters which one. And that's the end of that. And that's the end of the Fascist Impulse. We're going to move on to the Communist Impulse. I don't think the Japanese Well, yeah, they're definitely not going to be doing anything. They ended up moving some units that got flipped over. So that's going to be it for the fascist impulse. I'm going to move on to the communists, specifically the Soviets. I got a bunch of counters to put on the map. We have all the reserve units coming on. And when the time is appropriate, I got a whole bunch of units to add to their force pools too. So I'm going to do that. And when I come back, I'll probably move all the Soviets, and we'll come back with a quick look at the front. And then we'll go on from there. Okay, before we get to the fascist impulse, the Commonwealth took a land. They are sending forces over to the Middle East to help bolster that. We'll have to take a closer look at that, probably in the next impulse, see what's going on there. In fact, I might do that right now before I go to the fascist impulse. So the Commonwealth and the Free French are going to do something in here. But before I get to that, I'll actually do that off screen. We have over here on the fascist impulse. Actually, I don't need to do that. We'll go right to the fascist impulse. We have a potential 2-to-1 here in China. Oh, the weather roll is a 1, which is fair weather everywhere. But first we got to do favorite air combat in China. So the Chinese are on the 4. They have 4, and the Japanese have 5.5, which is going to be +2, -2. The Chinese will roll first on the -2, and they roll a 17 on the -2. That is a Defender destroyed. Defender destroys on front fighter or front bomber. Jesus, I guess we're going to shoot down our bomber, and the pilot is killed. Pilot's killed. I gotta say, the Chinese Air Force has been pretty exceptional. And Japanese rolling back, they roll a 5. That is AX. So that Chinese fighter is also shot down. But the pilot is not killed. That's the difference between really high and really low. Pilot dead, pilot not dead. So the 2 bombers get through. So we have 2 units here. We have a 4-1 and a 3-1. So I roll 2 dice for each one. So we'll roll the 4-1 first. These are for 2s. And that's flipped over. And now for the 3-1, these are for 2s. And that's, wow, 3 1s. So both units are flipped over. We're going to use HQ benefits. And, yeah, we'll use there's an HQ right here. So we'll use HQ benefits. And that's going to give us a 2-to-1 +3 on the assault table. Well, you know, knowing the Japanese, they're going to roll a 1. So here we go. Oh, it's pretty close. You see that? That's a 2. So that becomes a 5. 2, 1. Wow. So I'm going to take care of that. And I'm going to come back. We're going to do, we have a amphibious assault in the Near East. And then we're going to have the ground attacks in the Eastern Front, as well as maybe some sub-action. Back in a second. Okay, so the Italians embarked some amphibious units from Cyprus because they secured naval supremacy in this area. And they're going to invade right here. There's a notional strength of 1. I don't realize it, but there's no Commonwealth land forces in Port Said. So it's going to be a 1 versus 5 with 3, 6 bombardment factors. So that's going to be a total of 11-to-1. So they get ashore. Don't even have to roll a die. And then we're going to go and we're going to do the sub stuff first before. And actually, let's go do the East. This is going to be fairly easy. I don't think there's going to be any dice rolls except maybe 1. Alright, so here we have a 7-to-1. And that's on, no, that's actually going to require a die roll because there's no armor here. 7-to-1 on the assault table. 7-to-1 on the assault table. Yeah, we got to roll a die. Roll a 6. A 6 is star 2S. Oh, he's dead anyways. And they'll occupy the hex. And that allows this Romanian reserve militia unit to come back into play. I'm sure the Germans will be happy to build that. Now let's go take a look at the rest of the Eastern Front. Get these dice out of here. We got a 7-to-1 here. I believe these are all 7-to-1 attacks on the Blitzkrieg table, which is automatic deads. I think this one is 7-to-1. Yes, this one is 7-to-1. The next one is 6-to-1. We got a 6-to-1 here on the Blitzkrieg table. 6-to-1 plus 1 on the Blitzkrieg table. Oh, we got to occupy the hexes. Don't forget to occupy the hex. Puts us further and further into Russia. We got 6-to-1 here. I think there's an armored unit somewhere in here. That's going to be 6-to-1 straight up on the assault table, which is going to end up being 5-to-1. 5-to-1 on the assault table. We roll a 7. That's star 2S. Still doesn't matter. He's still dead. And we will occupy the hex. I guess with these guys, I think. Okay, and then right here we have another 7-to-1. And just, all my airplanes get moved around. And he's dead, Siberian. And over here, 7-to-1. Oops. He's toast. Oh, these are all on the Blitzkrieg table because there's lots of armor involved. And this is also 7-to-1. Again, there's armor involved. More armor than this. I think there's 2 German armored units. So that's outnumbered at that point. I gotta look at that. Maybe I want to blitz. Alright, I gotta check that real quick. Let's go. Meantime, I'll go over here. Got a possible sub action. Alright, let's do the Pharaoh's Gap. And we're gonna have something. We got a 2-8, so I'm gonna figure that out. Okay, so what we got is we have a total of 4 surprise points, and that would have been 9 except for this air unit inside where it has an air to sea factor inside the 0 box. What that does is it means that the highest level box of the included units for the Commonwealth is actually 1 instead of 0, because it has a range of 5, which means it bumps it up 1 point. So that's 8 surprise points. Now to select combat type, the Commonwealth could select air-to-sea combat because they have an air unit. In order for the Germans to get away from that, they have to spend 4 surprise points to select a sub-action. So that's basically what we got. We're going to have 1 sunk for the British and 2 damaged and 1 damaged for the Germans. So the Germans will take out 3 convoy points, and then the Commonwealth will choose something to damage, and I think we'll go with that little cruiser right there. He's an 8. And we get the die up here. Thank you. an 8, and unfortunately he is damaged, and the Germans will pick him again because, hey, why not sink another ship? And yes, he does go down. And he will probably not be scrapped. Well, he might be. I don't know. We'll see. And then the 1 damage for the subs. The Commonwealth is going to pick this guy. He's a 9. The Germans will roll. He is damaged. He does stay there, though. All right. Now we're going to do another round. And we are doing another round. That's a 10 and a 3. So I'm going to figure that out. Back in a second. So the results end up being the same. We still end up with 5 surprise points this turn instead of 9. And that's wholly due to that 1 air unit there. So that's already paying dividends for the British Commonwealth. I always call them British. They're the Commonwealth. They're the same thing in my eyes. Though some would argue that point. Okay, so what we got is we got 1 sunk for the Commonwealth and 2 damage. And on the Germans, we have 1 aborted sub. So we'll do the aborted sub first. And the Commonwealth, you're going to get rid of him. So we want to have him get aborted. He's going to be automatically aborted because I can't roll better than a 10. Because it's a 9, but his damage, that makes him a 10. So he automatically gets aborted. So he's going to go to the damage pool, repair pool. And now for the Commonwealth, the Germans are going to pick 3 convoy points, surprisingly. We'll get rid of the Norwegian convoy points. You know, those freebies they got. And then the Commonwealth will pick something to damage. They're going to pick this little cruiser. He's a 7. And he is aborted. He's not damaged. And the final damage, we will pick the 2 tankers and the 1 convoy point. You know what? We'll pick all 3 tankers. We'll just keep it the same. Get all 3 convoy, all 3 tanker points will be aborted. Damaged, rather. Not aborted. Commonwealth's getting a pile of stuff built up in the repair pool. And then, now, he's aborted. Now, does the Commonwealth just abort the area? Nah, as long as they have a convoy point, I think they have to keep going because of the house rules. Because if they abort the sea zone with convoy points there, it means they're not going to get anything shipped to Britain this turn. So yeah, we'll keep going. In this case, the only thing that got found was the 1 Commonwealth cruiser found somebody. And the subs will refuse combat, which they can do against surface vessels. Alright, now we got the potential action over here. I have to flip another unit to do the search. Search. Let's see what happens. 10 and a 7, going to be a nothing. They're going to get 1 more chance to do something there, and then that's it. And I think that's it for the fascist impulse. We're going to move on to the communists. I'm going to do movement for the Soviets and anything that the communist Chinese have to move. Their action limits now are the same as the Soviets at war, which is unlimited on the land combat, on a land action rather. I'll be back shortly and show you what the front looks like, and then we'll move on to ruling weather and doing the democracies. Okay, for the communist impulse, we are trying to patch up a line in the south. We got a pretty good line in the north. I mean, it's actually a pretty tough looking line. We did rail out 1 factory right here. We railed out the Vidinsk factory. I feel that one is the most under pressure at this point. Didn't do much else. The communist Chinese are kind of good with where they are. I might move a couple units. I might I got to take a look. I think we're good. I think there's like 8 points here. Yeah, 8, which is 16. And there's a river on one side towards this hex. Yeah, I think we're good. I think the Communist Chinese are pretty good as far as defensive positions right now. I think that's about it. I'm going to move on to the fascist impulse. Oh no, I'm going to move on to the democracies, and we're going to roll weather. And I'll come back with a summary of what they did. And then we'll move on to the Germans and so forth. Okay, the weather roll was a 6, which is going to be storm in the north monsoon. The democracies, let's see, they took a land down here in Africa. And basically the Commonwealth retreated because they realized they actually moved the units that were going off towards the Turkish front. They moved them back to Port Said. Also, they retreated some units from the line up here back this way because they realized that the Italians could land additional units here because it's a port, and then exploit down here and then have this hex in their zone of control and put everything out of supply. So, because they own the sea area, and we can't trace supply through Alexandria. So, we did a little bit of a retreat. Things are looking precarious here in Egypt. We might have to bring some units back from here and let the French do whatever they can in that area. But, yeah, so we'll see what happens with the... oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, the Bulgarians are still holding out. But, yeah, that's going to be... It's going to be an interesting situation down there. I will move on to the fascist impulse, and I will do their movement. And when I come back, we'll have any attacks that they managed to get. The Soviets really fell back into Ukraine, so it's going to be tough for the fascists to catch up with them, but we'll see. Okay, we have a couple potential ground strikes, and it's going to result in an air battle. So let's redo the air battle first. We have a Soviet bomber. All right. Oh, naturally. All right, we have a +2, -2 air battle. Soviets shoot first. See what they get. Oh, you know, they roll like the Japanese. They get an 11. That is nothing on the -2. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's defender clears through the 1 bomber. So he will get through for his ground strike. I don't remember where he came from. Okay, I got it. And then the Germans get to roll. They roll a 16 on the +2. 16 is defenders destroyed. Okay, the pilot will survive. So the Russians will get a pilot for their fighter. I bet he gets scrapped. Alright, so now we got a ground strike. We got 2 units there, an HQ and an artillery. We're ground striking at 2s. So the red will be the artillery and the green will be the HQ. Whoa, look at that. That's some good German dice right there. Both units are flipped. Made me choke, it was that bad. Both units are flipped. And he's probably going to land in Vilna. We want to keep these air units as close to the front as possible. Though that is becoming extremely difficult the further the Germans advance. We got 1 more ground strike. We have 2 5-3 infantry being ground struck by 2 points. So he'll have to land as well. So we'll roll 2 dice. And we got a 2 and a 4, so one of them is flipped over. to go. Oh, that was okay. Okay. All right, and I guess I don't know where he's gonna go. Right here, I guess. That's good enough. Now I gotta figure the odds, and I'll be back with some combat dice rolls. Okay, we had a successful attack here. I rolled a 6 on the 3-to-1 chart with a +3. Guderian is flipped over now. And so they were both eliminated, and they ended up being star 1B. And yeah, I just forgot to push the record button again. So I keep hitting pause, and then the record, I sometimes forget to hit the record again. Okay, so that'll be that. I think that is it. Oh no, we have one attack in Bulgaria. Probably gonna have no, we're not gonna have an air battle. We're gonna just have an attack. So we're gonna have, let's see, we got 10, 17, 20, 25 to 6 is a 4-to-1 on the assault table. I roll a 6. Assault, 4-to-1, 6 is dash 1S. All these units are going to be flipped over, but this unit is dead. He's dead. He dead. Alright, so occupy the hex. Doesn't matter, they're all going to be flipped over, so we're slowly narrowing things, we're slowly pushing things in over there. All right, gotta take. Oh, I'm sorry. We actually have an attack in the desert, in Egypt. I forgot to move these guys. I'll move them after. I don't think there'll be an attack there, anyways. All right, so we have a 3-to-1 attack here. With armor, it's going to be +1, 3-to-1 on the blitzkrieg table. Roll the 6. Roll the 6 on the blitzkrieg table, 3-to-1. That is going to be 6, going to be a 7. Cross 1R. Cross 1R. So we'll take care of that. They look at the, yes, cross 1R. So one Commonwealth unit is dead. It's obviously going to be the territorial. Maybe not. I think the militia from DoDIII will die. And he's got to retreat, and he's going to be turned over. And that means the cross means half the Italian units are going to be flipped over. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 flipped over will do it. All right, that'll be that. And I'm going to move on to the communist impulse, and I'll come back with a summary of what the Russians are going to try to do. All right, the Russians got a problem. Well, start off with, they railed the factory out of Kharkov. Patched together some mishmash down here in Ukraine. Up here, though, the situation is a little bit more dire, because there's a bunch of units that, like that 7.6 armor, it is out of supply. The 7.3 that was next to it was out of supply, but I actually moved it and flipped it over because I need the zones of control to try to stop the Germans, even though it's probably going to get annihilated. Maybe not. We'll see. I might move that 2-3 up 1 hex. Keep it in supply. But down here, yeah, it's not looking good. Let's see, we're on impulse number 9. So pretty soon is that impulse number 10? It might be 10. I think it's 10. Because we're on the Soviets impulse. So I don't really have any Soviet units to rail up to the front. There's a couple units down here in the Caucasus Mountains, keeping the Turks occupied. But that's about it. And probably come back with the democracies and roll weather, and I'll come back with a summary of them. Alright, the Commonwealth did a bit of a retreat. They're kind of giving up Alexandria. Kind of have to. We need to get a line that we can actually defend. Especially, you can't take the chance that next turn the Italians will get the initiative and just pound that hex or this hex or one of them. So we did a little bit of a retreat. So make our lines a little bit more tougher. We got some river defense coming up. So that's the Nile. So we're hoping that will help our situation. I think that's about it. Oh, and we decided to transport a militia unit from Great Britain on down around Africa to get it to, yeah, Egypt. Oh, and the French will pull their cruisers. Oh, those are flipped over. Can't do that. Can't do that because they're supposed to be flipped over. But I'm going to move on to the fascist impulse, and I'll be back with probably some dice rolls. Oh, the weather was 4, I believe, which flipped storm and north monsoon to rain. Okay, after going through the fascist impulse, we have a few attacks. First one down here in Ukraine. I believe that is a 10-1, and it is. So he will be dead. He will be dead. And then we got a 6-1 over here on the Blitzkrieg table. That's going to be a +1. Oh, this time we roll a 2. 6-1. That is, which is a 3. Star B. He does have a lot. Oh, I was supposed to occupy the hex. Star B. Can't retreat because the zones of control. I could retreat here. He's out of supply. Actually, it's shattered. They're shattered. I don't think. No, they're shattered. There's no viable retreat route, so they're just eliminated. Too bad, so sad. And we can blitz. We'll go here. All right, and let's see what else we got. Oh, we got some stuff up there in the north. We got a lovely 5-1 attack here with a +1 on the Blitzkrieg table. And 5-1 on the Blitzkrieg table with a 5. It's going to be a 6, star 1B. As he's isolated, he has no retreat route. So unfortunately, he is gone. And definitely want to occupy the hex. I think these guys will occupy. Alright. And the last attack, we have a 5-1 on the... Oh, by the way, I used offensive points to reactivate Guderian. The Germans are down to 1 offensive point left. Though I think they have 5 coming in next turn. Alright, we got a 5-1 on the assault table. And 5-1 on the assault table. We roll a 5. That's cross 2S. So that means half the German units are going to be flipped over. I will have to go through that in a second. And okay, I'll do that in a minute off camera. We have a few more attacks. We have an attack down here. We have a 5-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. Roll a 9. I guess you can pretty much figure that out what that result is. I think we'll occupy with the motorized unit. And that's good for that. And I think that's it for the fascist. I don't think the Japanese got anything going on. Nah, probably not. They have units that are flipped over, so once that starts, they're pretty much done. Oh, yeah, we still have one potential in the North Sea and the potential in Faroes Gap. So let's roll North Sea first. This is the last chance. 4, 8. Yeah, they did find something. I got to figure that out. Okay, the Commonwealth has got 2 aborts on the subs. So we'll do that first. We got a couple of 8s here. They're all almost exactly the same. So we'll just go abort on the right one. It's not half aborted. And abort on the middle one. It is aborted. So he's aborted. Not that that's a surprise. Now, against the Commonwealth, we have 2 sunks. The Germans will obviously take... You know what? Let's just get rid of 3 tanker points. We can do that. Take out 3 tanker points. The Commonwealth will allocate this light cruiser here for its sacrifice. That's an 8. And it sunk. Okay, and we'll see if there's another round. A 3 and a 10. Yeah, there will be another round. I'll figure it out. Alright, so this is what we got. Moral of the story is, never rule 10s. Or have aircraft in your convoy box. So, the Germans got 10 surprise points. They're going to suffer no losses. And the Commonwealth is going to get 1 sunk, 2 damaged, and 2 aborted. So the Germans are going to take out 3 convoy points for the sunk. That leaves 4 in that box. And 2 damaged. The Commonwealth will pick the little cruiser here. That's an 8 for damage. And he is only aborted. No, he's damaged. Alright, and the Germans will pick the same one for another damage. Now he's got to roll a 10 not to be damaged. And no, he's sunk. So 2 damages is a sunk. Now we got 2 aborts. The Commonwealth will pick the last cruiser for an abort. It is aborted. It will return to Halifax. And the Germans will abort 3 convoy points. I got to make change. Well, the search rolls for the Faroes Gap was a 4 and a 6, so there'll be no action there this turn. And so far, the North Atlantic convoy pipeline and the Faroes Gap convoy pipeline are still holding. So that's going to be the end of the fascist impulse. We're going to move to the democracies. No, we're not. We have to roll to see if the turn ends. This is on a 1. It's a 5. We move on to the democracies. And let's go see what they're going to do. The Commonwealth decided they're going to align Portugal. Just because it's going to give them an extra convoy point and a few more ships. And we can use everything we can get. So we're going to move them ships right now. And I think that's about it. They really can't do nothing down here. Oh, they rolled a weather die. Was a 3. Which changes rain to rain in the North Monsoon. And that's it. Over here, things don't look good. But I think we're holding the line okay. We lost our Iraqi militia, but that's okay. The U-boats in the North Atlantic are gone. We need to get some more U.S. entry action going. I think that's going to be next turn. And then we're going to move on to the fascists. Oh, first we're going to roll to see if we end the turn. As soon as I move these 2 ships. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put them right in the convoy box. Alright, that's going to cost us an oil. 1/10 of an oil. And we're okay with that. Alright, so we're going to roll to see if the turn ends. Oh well, wouldn't you know it. Roll a 9. Alright, move on to the fascists. Yep, we'll see what they're going to do. Pretty much got a good idea what's going to happen over there. Actually, yeah. Wanted to show you the Soviet front right now. Yeah, it's pretty much fallen totally apart. But it's to be expected. We are, however, moving into impulses that the turn can end, so anything's possible at this point. I already did the democracy, so we're going to move right to the fascist impulse. Okay, we got some attacks to do. Russian front's teetering on the brink. Now remember, next turn is September, October, and the weather can go to total crap. So, first up we got, I'm going to put my chart down over here because it's just easier to do it like that. Alright. We got a nice 6-to-1 right here. That's going to be on the assault table, which is 5-to-1. 5-to-1. Well, can't even see it. There we go. Roll a 7. A 7 is star to S. But actually it's a 6 because we got a factory there. A 6 is cross to S. So he's dead, and they will get a cadre for that. But half the German units have to flip over. And I think the Swedish unit will flip over. And those two will occupy that hex. Over here we have a 5-to-1 on the Blitzkrieg table. +1. Well, give me the right die. And that's a 2. Which is a 3. Which is cross 1R. There's no place for him to retreat. However, half the attacking units have to flip over. There's 1, there's 3, so that's actually 1. Now we'll let the Romanian unit flip over. It's good for him. Over here we have a 9-to-1. He will cadre for the Russians, but this is a breakthrough. So we will go here. Actually, we'll leave that there, and this one will break through. There we go. We got a 6-to-1 on the assault table here. We roll a 7. That's going to be a -1. And it's actually 5-to-1, which is 6, cross 2S. So now Germans are getting units flipped over. Cross 2S. That one's not a cadre. Cross 2S. Now let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 4 units got to be flipped over. Obviously the militia. 2. And we'll flip the 5-3 and the 5-2. Oh, flippy flap. And I think this whole stack will just occupy like that. Okay. Over here we have a 10-to-1. Vastly out of supply. He's just toast. Oops, I guess we'll just occupy with that. And then we got a 5-to-1 +1 here on the Blitzkrieg table. Hoo-hoo, roll a 2, which is a 3. And that's cross 1R. There's no R for the Russians, so I'm going to have to flip over half these units. Now's when things slow down. Now's when things slow down. Alright, I gotta flip over half. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Oops. And that is it for attacks for this turn. The Russian front's still holding. Sorta, kinda. They're still holding. We have one last thing to do. There's nothing going on over there in China. And we're going to roll a die to see if there's any action. Well, actually, it's 2 search dice. See if there's any action in Pharaoh's Gap. The 9 and a 5, that's it. And that's also one more sub left to flip to initiate action. And I think that's it for the fascist. There's no attack in Bulgaria. There's no attack down here in the Middle East yet. Gotta wait for our Italian units to flip back over. So we're just going to roll to see if the turn ends. It's a 1. A 7. We keep going. We're going to do the communists, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, the democracies rolled weather. We rolled a 10, which is going to give us a +1 to the weather roll for next turn. The democracies are all going to pass, and they're going to hope that they can end this turn right now. So here we go. We're going with a pass. Oh boy. Oh, that was so close. That was so close, but nope. So we'll move on to the fascists. We'll see what they're going to do. Okay, I have finished the fascist impulse. Let's take a look at the front. They've reached Rostov. They've reached Kursk. That's got a 10-to-1 attack there, so that will fall. Smolensk has fallen, and they're getting up next to Leningrad. So let's... Well, I got 1 attack. I don't even have to roll it. It's a 10-to-1, so it's an auto dead. And I guess we'll put that guy in there. Those 2. The only thing stopping the Germans right now is the supply issue, and that's just about it. Alright, that's it for the fascists. The Japanese, yeah, they got too much stuff flipped over to do anything. And same goes with the Italians, and I don't think I have a good enough odds in Syria to launch an attack. The last thing I'll do is there's a potential convoy raid in Pharaoh's Gap. So we'll go over here, we'll roll the dice. That's the last sub that can initiate a combat. And it's not enough. Not enough. 4-7 doesn't do it. We needed at least a 3. Actually, it wouldn't even do a 3 because there's not enough convoy points there anymore. Alright, so last thing the fascists are going to do, they're going to roll to see if they end the impulse. We need a 2. Now 6, we don't do it. We move on to the democracies. They're going to roll weather. There's a +1 to this. A 2 is a 3. Okay, the North Monsoons flips back to rain. Everything else stays the same. I think for the democracies impulse, they're going to pass. Now they can end the turn on a 3. Oh, nope. And we will move to the fascists. Alright, gonna do it. Be back in a bit. I forgot to roll a die to end the impulse for the communists. They needed a 2. I just rolled it, and that's what they rolled. They rolled a 2. So the impulse is over. We wouldn't have even got to the democracies. So that's going to be it. I'm gonna go through. I got a big mess to pick up here in the middle. Basically, the entire Soviet army, initial army, was liquidated. Which, if you think about it, that's actually what happened historically. But I got to do all kinds of adjustments. I got force pool additions. I'll roll U.S. entry and I'll roll partisans, and I'll probably come back with production. Okay, let's go over production. The Germans produced 38, started with 26 and spent 25. The Japanese produced 23, started with 23 and spent 21. The Italians produced 11, started with 9 and spent 9. The Soviets produced 33, started with 33 and spent 34. They have a couple factories that are moving right now. That impacted their production. They also got 3 Lend-Lease from the U.S. The Commonwealth produced 16, started with 7 and spent 7. The U.S. produced 22. They sent out 7 in Lend-Lease. Started with 15 and spent 15. China produced 4. One of them was a cadre. Started with 4 and spent 4. The Free French, they produced 1, got 4 Lend-Lease from the U.S. That's a total of 5. Started with -3 and spent nothing. So I'm going to get these on the circle. And I'd like to thank you for watching. It's been a very interesting turn. And like, subscribe, enjoy all that stuff. Comment if you will. And I will see you next time.